not only academics, but also personal and professional life, your oratorial skills, your surgical excellence, and so on. We are in an era of orthopedics which has by and large advanced and innovated manifold. Sir, I'm curious to know how you have managed to keep it going. Like what or who has been your inspiration? Over to Dr. Rajasekaran, please.
All right. Thank you, Raja. As you said, I'd like to first thank the IOA and TNOA for keeping the spirit and fire of Bone and Joint Day going so strong. So when we initiated this in 2012, little did I imagine that this will actually flower into such a wonderful event. And I think one of the best things we did was not to have a Bone and Joint Day, but to have a Bone and Joint Week. That actually led to many good programs, and let me congratulate and thank both TNOA and IOA for that. Now, you said in your inaugural first sentence, you said, this is a burning issue. I mean, work-life balance is a burning issue. Now, I think this is because people have to put in a lot of work because things are so competitive. And people also use the word dog eats dog, kind of race competition is there. And one of the things that will keep you going is to have the proper perspective of life. And for that, good people who give you a lot of inspiration and also great mentors are very, very important. So you ask me, who are my inspirations? And I would like to say that, in life, at different stages of life, you need different things. And so there can never be one person who inspired you. And usually as you go, you get a lot of role models. And success comes only if you can get or imbibe good things from everybody all over the world. And to start off, I should say I have been very, very lucky. I use this word very often.
Can you hear me, sir?
I use this word. I was very lucky to get the ovarian lottery, to be born to the parents that I was born.
Going on.
Because of them,
So
I didn't need to look out of the compound wall
4, 5, 6
for inspiration.
Programs right now going on.
And we talk of
so what I'll do is I'll connect online.
We talk of discipline.
Give me 2
we
minutes.
talk of
Sarang is also joining in.
And we talk of having high ambitions. And
Okay.
even today, I cannot
you.
imagine having somebody else to give me all this. And I am very fortunate, even at this age, at a time when we are mentoring a lot of people, I still have both of them good, hale and healthy and inspiring me all the time. So, hard work, I don't need to learn anything more than my brother. I mean, he is 3 years elder to me, but he always returns home 2 hours or 1.5 hours after I return home. And they are in a specialty where they do very prolonged surgeries, not only during the daytime, but also in the nighttime. And, his sense of hard work and ethics is very, very, very infectious. And that's been really great for me. But when you become a doctor, you have to be inspired by many other doctors. You have to learn everything from everybody. And as I have told before, when I finished, one of my teachers, Dr. Pranesh, told me one important thing. If you are starting a unit, please make sure you are the first one to get to the hospital and the last one to come out of the hospital. He said 95% of the things will settle by itself. And
can you hear me properly,
I have found it very, very true.
Okay, my voice is clear.
And there was another person, my mentor, Dr. Kumar, has always told me, if you see all your patients just before you leave the hospital, you will avoid 90% of the complications, because complications happen over the evening and night when no patient actually looks up. He used to say the best pre-medication for any patient is the doctor visiting the patient.
Okay, I'll just call Karan because he might be...
like that you get inspired, you learn things as you go by. And I have had many inspirators. It need not be just doctors. You can learn about hard work
he's
from
here.
anybody.
Hi, Taran.
Just during this COVID time, I was looking at a series of Michael
His
Jordan,
audio is not yet
the
connected.
great basketball player. And his life and his sayings was so inspiring about how you have to be totally dedicated in what you are doing. So you should not just stop with one inspiration. I think you must get inspiration from everybody. Look for ideas, look for goals, look for helpful thoughts from one and everybody. I think that will be the success in your life.
Excellent. My co-moderator, Dr. Dhanasekaran Raja, can also join in the interactions. Dr. Dhanasekaran, do you wish to ask anything?
So we are talking about work-life balance a lot now. So now all over India, we are discussing the topic. But this was not the case 5 years or 10 years back. I remember when I joined the team.
There is a lot of disturbance from here.
I came and asked you, how do we manage work, family, everything. So the answer was very simple. You can look at us, how we are doing.
Yeah,
and just I followed that. There was no more discussion how to balance
there is
work.
some metallic
not a
sound
question
coming
at all.
from your
But
end.
now we see every forum there is a discussion work-life balance. Why is it become like that?
Just check it.
So then, you're absolutely right. I mean, Raja also.
And your volume is
when we were residents and we were
just check on Zoom
people talked
on your
of
phone,
hard work,
the audio
they
settings.
never talked about something like a balance. Now, this phrase itself, I think, is always a misnomer because I keep telling that. So when you use the word balance, it already implies that you are balancing between two opposite and different things.
As much as possible.
And so when people say work-life balance, then automatically the young mind starts thinking,
it is better
one
now.
is good, one is bad.
So
and
just
of
give
course,
me a minute
it
again,
automatically behoves that work is bad and life is good. But this is something that was not there some time before. Everybody thought
you have received the details
and life is work. And they always thought about how to integrate work and life together. They did not separate it differently and then tried how to balance it with each other. I think the whole thing started about 15 or 20 years before. And it has become very strong in the last one decade. And this is because of, I may be wrong, I apologize if I am wrong, if I am hurting somebody. But I think it is because of the IT sector. People were associated where they worked and for whom they worked and for the institution that worked was imbibed into the blood of people who were working before. In those days, people used to feel very proud of saying, I joined TVS as a clerk and I retired after 35 years as the senior manager. I joined SBI, State Bank of India as a clerk and I then retired as the zonal manager. I mean, people were really happy in what they were doing and they associated. But this completely changed when the IT sector came. The IT sector was always working through the computer. They did not work for somebody. They always changed their jobs every 3 or 4 years. And they were never happy, and their ethos of work was to change for the better every 3 years or 4 years. And what was the change for the better? It was a better salary. So that whole sector, when it came up, it just looked at, and they were always billing by the hour. How much salary you got, you billed it by the hour. Every day I worked 12 hours. Today I clocked 14 hours. Today I clocked. So the whole ethos of the younger generation changed. That work is money, time is money. You don't work for anybody else. You work for only your life. And they completely confused between work, time, money, life, family. Everything got completely confused. And that is also one of the sectors where there is a lot of dissatisfaction around. Now, I can say, if you just ask me, which is the one sector where there is a lot of dissatisfaction, where there is a lot of depression, where there is a lot of, professional sadness, I don't have a hesitation to say that IT sector is one of the ones. And these people actually are also very, very active in the social media, and then they started berating work. But when we were all young, we were always told we work, and we always thought work gave happiness, and work did give happiness
So
too.
Tarang, you have to take over
So I
today
think this
because
is
there
the
are
only
around
major problem.
6 events.
If you talk of the younger sector, I would like to tell one
because
thing.
of that bone and joint day.
There was and there is a big public opinion which is conducted across the world
There's a lot going
amongst
on
developed countries, developing countries, and non-developed countries. On what are the top 10 things which people consider as the most important in life. And it's world over. And sometimes in the olden days, about 20 years ago, it was always religion, God, spirituality. But keeps changing. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it is peace, sometimes it's family and all that. But irrespective of what is the time, what is the decade, and irrespective of whether it's the developed country or developing country or undeveloped country, the top three always had a job which was giving me professional satisfaction. That is as much as equated with religion, God, family, peace, health, happiness. So it was always on the top three. So if that is on top three, then why should we not actually work hard? I mean, it is really bad to think that your profession is something that we always used to consider almost as a spirituality, because we were told work is God and God is work. It doesn't matter whether you pray today or not, but it really matters whether you do a good day's job or not. Now, for me, it looks quite difficult from there. We have just come lower down so much that we now have to support work and say, no, good work is important. So I think it's for whom you work and what your work. So that's exactly very, very important.
Absolutely true. But in our country and in our culture, if you see, getting a job or being in work is absolutely mandatory for various reasons, to lead a contented life or a lavish life for that matter, and then earning a respect in the society, supporting the family, and invest in the future also for various events in life. For example, putting your child in the school or a marriage in the family and so on. So as you rightly said, there are many who feel work is life and life is work. But what, in your opinion, is the definition of work, and to what extent it is important? Or rather, where do we draw a line and say, for example, this is enough, or I want to chase my dreams and all the pleasures that work brings along?
Raja, rather than saying what is work, so I would like to draw a differentiation in the definition of when are you a worker and when are you a professional. Okay? So there is a big difference between everybody work, but when are you just a worker and when are you a professional?
Too long.
Workers will get depressed, they will get bored, they may get all these problems with work-life balance, but professionals will not get. The difference is workers work for others, workers work for compulsion, workers work on things that they don't like because they are employed in something, they have to seek an employment, and workers work for pay. Whereas professional is someone who has adopted a profession which he likes, and then he works. You may ask, does that mean that he is not working for pay? Everybody works for a pay because, as you said, we all need a living, and sometimes we need a good living also. We have a family that we need to support. It is all that is there. But let me take two examples and show you. Now, everybody works for the government, isn't it? So the government pays everybody. But you can see extraordinarily different standards of working within the government service. Now, you ask me, who are your inspirations? And one of my greatest inspiration is Professor R. Vengasam, plastic surgeon. Is it not? Now, how was he? He was one among the many plastic surgery professors, isn't it? Or he is one of the many professors in medicine in the whole state, isn't it? So how is it that he was able to build one of the world's largest hand injury service?
Okay.
He didn't work for himself, but he was a professional, passionate for hand surgery. And even within when that power of passion is there, when the power of selfless service is there, when that ignited fire is there, then even within the government service, where people always say you can't achieve anything in government service, he was able to set up the world's best hand injury service. How was Mr. Sridharan, who built the Delhi tube rail, able to do it so well in such a short time against much better, more bad odds than other places? How was he able to do it? He was an IAS officer. As there are thousands of IAS officers here, you can hear 999 of them complain that you can't achieve anything in this government service. But how was he able to do it? So within the same domain of the same organization, whether it is the government service or the non-government service, you will find that there are workers and professionals in the same cadre. I have no doubt about this. So I always give two more examples also. So, one of the most famous things where most of the visitors every year go is to see Sistine Chapel in Rome. And the star attraction there is the paintings that are done on the roof. And Michelangelo had to do these paintings lying down. When you're painting the roof, he has to lie down and do it. And so the Pope had commissioned him, and he could not complete it in time. Because he was also so passionate about being perfect, he will redo it often. So the Pope said, okay, that's finished this thing. I'm not going to pay you anymore. He said, it's okay. I have to complete this, and he completed it. So was he a worker? No. That was the passion that he did. And so centuries after, people are going from all over the world to see the Sistine Chapel and the roof painting. There's also one more story which everybody says. In all our temples, there is a flag mast in the front. And apparently, there is an idol on the top of the flag mast. And once when this was completely erected, the idol got little damaged. But none of us, when we stand down, we can see what is on the top of the flag mast. Nobody would have identified that it is wrong. But the sculptor who did it, he said, no, I have to redo it, the whole thing again. And when they asked, why do you do it? I mean, nobody would even notice this. So he said, nobody would, but I know that there is a problem. I have to redo it. So do you think he is a worker? No. I mean, he is a professional who is doing it for his passion. So whether it is in your hospital, Raja, you have been a chief medical officer in Port Trust Hospital for so many years. And I'm sure that thousands of people worked under you. Under the same cadre, you can easily identify who is a worker and who is a professional. I mean, in Ganga Hospital, we have 2,264 employees. If you ask me to
good evening and welcome
them,
to this.
Give a classification of everybody who's employed in Ganga Hospital,
Orthopaedic Musing with
irrespective of the cadre that they are on.
And today we are going to speak on a very
different ways.
Important topic.
People who are working in government,
important
Ganga
not only
Hospital,
for freshers,
and people
but
who are
also
professionals
for
in Ganga Hospital.
people
It can be
in
in anything.
middle of their career.
It can be in senior positions. It can be in junior
financial
positions.
aspect of.
So we all
practice.
talk about work he is employed.
So for further proceedings, I'll hand it over to
everybody
Navin.
Works.
Over to you, Navin.
We all work for employment, But is it only for that purpose you are working? That differentiates you from worker and a professional. If you are working for just pay, then you are working for somebody else. When you are working for somebody else, it's such a big stress, isn't it? So 9 to 5, you are working for somebody, but today your work exceeds by 15 minutes. It is such a big stress. But if you are playing cricket and the game goes more than half an hour more, it's a pleasure, isn't it? So it all depends upon why you are working and for whom you are working. So there is a work is when you are working for somebody else. So you have to jump from the system of worker to professional. The sooner you do it, it's better. So, but if you are working and it is such a big stress for you, then you have to ask the question, am I in the right job? Am I in the right thing I'm doing? And am I going to do this the whole my life? Make my life miserable and make the life of everybody around me miserable. So you have to take a call and then change.
That was well said, sir. So we need to look at work as a profession and not a patient not as a case, just as a member of the family, as a father, so that we can add value to their lives or the entire family rather than just operating on patient. This is a good message for all the orthopedic surgeons. Coming next, we do a lot of clinical work, but we have to do some academic work, teaching and social work, and we have to have some family time. So is there any guide how to manage or how do we plan all these things, or this depends on the situation what we are on each occasion?
So again, Dhanshekar, I think there is no simple rule that will fit everybody, because family is very important. There's no doubt. I mean, you have to be a complete man to be a happy man. And then the family completes your circle. And so there is no doubt that anybody who has not succeeded in the family, you can actually excel in your work for some period of time. But then you will find that you gradually come down. So even abroad, where divorces are very common and family splits are very common, you will find that people who have really hit very high and they maintain that high positions and high bursts of energy over a long period of time. If you see, they are all people who have got excellent families. They have got a very stable family. And so let's say once for all, this is beyond doubt. These are words written in stone that family is very important. But this again is different from different people. So a lot of people ask me, how do you spend so little family time and still you're happy? But more importantly, how the family is also happy. I think the most important thing is that you and your wife need to discuss a lot of things and then make common ambitions, common dreams, and common. So you are two horses on the cart, and if both the horses are running towards the same destination, then there is no problem. If one is running faster, the other horse is actually going to feel happier. The problem comes when the horse wants to go this side and the other horse wants to go this side, and then faster they run, they are moving farther away from each other, and that is the problem. So the reason we were able to achieve a lot of concentration on the hospital and in our profession was very, very, very fortunately that our entire family members were focused on the single dream of having a great institution. Now, as you know, my mother, my brother's wife, and my wife, they all are the foundations and pillars of the administration and good running of the hospital. But none of them are doctors. And in fact, my wife was, when we got married, was a fine art specialist. She was an artist, drawing a lot, painting a lot, and even had a personal exhibition of her work. But it was just a master luck for me that she slowly also fell into the line, and then she did hospital administration. And so the most important thing is if you both are aligned to the same interests, then everything is good. But if the profession is completely different, you still can be aligned together by each one paying as much interest into the others and helping them to succeed. Now, this is very important. So I think you have to get the whole family aligned. So when I was very, people used to ask me a lot, and one day in a dinner, people asked me, you are spending so little time with your children, so aren't you feeling guilty? So when I was coming back in the car, I actually thought, am I spending very little time with children, and what do the children feel? So when I came home, I asked my daughter, I think she was 9th standard or 10th standard. So I asked her, what do you think? Do you think I should come home at 6 o'clock every day? So she just asked, for what purpose? Why do you want to come at 6 o'clock? So I said, no, I want to be with you and play with you. She said, no, I have a lot of friends, so why would you come and play with me when you can do a lot of better things in the hospital? So I said, maybe I can teach you. Or she said, no, I have my own people to teach me, so why would you come? And then she said, I asked her point blankly, people said I should be guilty that I'm not spending time with you, so do you think I'm spending less time with you? She said, no, because I know you are doing more important things than what it is. She said, I would feel bad if you are going and sitting in a club and playing cards. I would feel really bad if you're playing golf or if you're having dinner parties every day and you're not coming. But when I know you are in the hospital and doing some important surgery or teaching or doing some research work or something, I don't think I'll feel right to feel bad about it. And she's also said, what is this? We know that if for everything in our life you have given us whatever we want, and we know that whatever you want, you will give us. So why would I feel bad about you being a good doctor? The whole family is aligned to that thing. But one more thing, it is not that daughters or sons are different. It is most of the time, it is the parents who puts the wrong thoughts into the children. There are big parties when I go, when very, very successful doctors will say, I don't want my son to become a doctor. Why? This is a very bad profession. This is, I have to work very hard. Where is the time for myself? I should not work so much. And such children will feel very bad about that parents. But if you actually inculcate them and share with them your success story, share with them your problems, what patients have, and show them pictures, show them what is happening and all that, they are so happy for you to do. So, it is what you make of your life and what you project of your life. I feel really sorry when parents crib about work in front of their children. I think, I always feel gone case. When children listen to their parents cribbing about work, that is the end of the children. The children will get a very poor idea of work. And then the same parents complain, my son is not studying in medical college. He is not doing hard work. Every weekend he wants to relax. He is not interested in this. He is not interested in that. How would he be? Because all through his life, you have been telling, don't do hard work. I am sick of hard work. It's not that. So that is exactly, you see, this Olympics is a very, very good time when we can hear of heroic things from human endeavor. In WhatsApp, you are seeing all the success stories. What is one most common thing? None of them are millionaires. None of them have been born in big families. None of them have had everything support. Every one of them has come from a small family, committed parents. And why do all of them say, I got all my inspiration from my mother or father or my aunt or uncle or my grandfather. There was one person who told all of these people, whatever it takes, you should get to the Olympic medal. Whether you sweat or bleed or whatever it is, make sure you get the Olympic medal. If they also had parents who said, I can't work, I think hard work is bad, I should not do hard work, I want to party in the evening, I don't have free time. Do you think, and why do you think in our country we are not getting gold medals? So, hard work is something which we should all inculcate in our whole family and in our children, and that's very important.
Absolutely true. When the family understands you and vice versa, I think life can be much more comfortable.
Yeah,
but there is one. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
There is also one more thing. People mistake unhappiness for hard work. That's the most important thing I would like to actually tell the younger surgeons. I told I will classify. I am great in classifying and getting scores. So I like that. So I told you I can classify people who are working in a hospital as workers and professionals. The other classification I do is unhappy person and happy person. It's very common. There are happy people who will be happy under any circumstance. He will be happy even if after he has worked for 18 hours. And he is happy that he worked for 18 hours. That's the most important. There is another person who worked for 6 hours and then still feels unhappy that he had to work for 6 hours. Now, these happy persons are happy anytime because I think happiness is an inside job. You are born, it's a genetic job. It's a chemical job in your brain. And happy persons will be happy. Unhappy persons have so many reasons to be unhappy. No, that's the most important thing. I mean, you came and somebody had parked the car in your place, you are unhappy. That day you will not work for you. You came and the lift was not working, you had to climb the 2 stairs, again you are unhappy. There is a noise, this thing, you are unhappy. Your register came late, you are unhappy. The operating theatre, the air conditioning didn't work, you are unhappy. Now, if in the same operating theatre block, there is an issue that there is a less air conditioning and there are 7 or 8 consultants, there is 1 or 2 people who will unhappy, who will throw a fit, but there are other people who are not so bothered. All this is a personal chemical reaction in your brain. So you decide to be unhappy, then you are unhappy.
Interesting classification. Workers, professionals, happy, unhappy workers, something which you're learning today. Of course, there is something called, something which is very distressing in life also. Something called stress, which is there in this stress itself, it's coming. When there's no work, there is stress. If there is more work, there is more stress. I mean, is there any equation between work and stress, or stress is a byproduct of work, and how do we manage it? Rajasekaran, would like to add anything on this?
Is there any difference between hard work and stress? That's also one thing I would like to ask.
Yeah, so the thing is
there any difference between hard work and stress? I would like to say the difference between hard work and stress is the difference between North Pole and South Pole.
They usually have
the reason why hard work has got a bad name is because lots of people are mistaking hard work and stress without realizing that what. Hard work has not, in WhatsApp it comes all the time, hard work killed that person, hard work killed this person, hard work. It's absolute nonsense. I shouldn't use this word, but actually it's absolute nonsense. Whereas stress continuously kills a lot of people. That is different. So then that brings the big question. When does what come? Stress. Isn't it? So that's the most critical question. And for that, the most important answer is there are many reasons. Work becomes stress when you
I
are, as I said, when you think that you are working for somebody else, then everything looks difficult, everything looks hard.
Sometimes we are
Work also is stress
having
when you are
limitation
working
of
for a
knowledge
pay.
on what is the proper
And then,
channel or proper
whenever you have to do a
to
little
invest
more,
whatever we
then
earn.
you think that you are not getting what you
And,
require to be done, and
whom
hard
do
work
we trust
becomes
with the
extremely
money? Because
stressful.
as it is such a sensitive issue.
But the most important thing I think is
how
also
would you and what are
work
plans
is stress when you are
So,
doing
yeah,
something which you don't
something
like.
on that?
I think this is very
This is a
important.
good question.
Actually, there is a very
And
good saying
what
which
happens
says,
is that doctors
work is not
the problem
stress
with
Recording
when
stop.
you are doing something which you like for 15 hours. But
It is fine, we
work
can
is
go ahead.
a terrible
Yeah.
stress
The problem
when you are
with
doing something
doctors
which you
is
don't
that
like for 15
whatever money
minutes.
they earn, as long as
Isn't
they
it?
have something left over from
So
after
you have to be
expenses,
sure. That's why
they
I
feel that
always
they're doing well and they're
tell,
not doing bad.
if younger
But
surgeons and
there are
junior
two issues. One
doctors,
is they don't
they are
really
getting frequently
plan their
stressed.
expenditure, so
They are not
they end up
happy
with
when they
much
go to
less
work.
success than what they
And more
could if they
importantly,
plan their
they are
expenditure
not
better.
happier when they
And the
have
second
completed
thing
their
is
work.
whatever little they have
And in
left over
between
next
starting
year,
and ending,
they
they are
have
not
really
as
no
joyful
idea
and happy they should be.
what to do with
Then
it.
they should
And
not
they
blame
would
the
be
work. They
generally
should blame
taking
themselves
decisions
and
which
critically
are not
analyze, is
very
this
well
the thing that I
informed.
want to be doing? If this is not
Because
giving me the
there are many
joy
reasons
which
for this, but
work is supposed
most
to
often
give,
it is because they are busy
then
in
they
their
are in the
practice.
wrong position, is
And
it not?
biggest
They are in
thing
the
that
wrong
as long
place,
as the
doing
money
the
is
wrong
left
thing.
and doing something
And
so
they
that
should take
in
a
some form,
valued judgment
it's
and then
money.
move
And
from what they are
they
doing.
don't realize that
So stress
potentially
is
money
also,
can, with
in
proper
doctors I have
investment,
also
made to
seen
earn more.
there is a lot of
They have
stress
very limited knowledge
because
most
he
people
was a person who
do
wanted
not
to be
have
a surgeon,
any education or any interest
and
in the
he trained
financial
for,
world.
learnt or did
And we don't
everything
know
for
who
becoming
can
a
tell us
surgeon for 4
the
years,
correct advice. We
could not
actually
get
don't
general
want to
surgery, and
learn
then
and
he
study or
ends
get
up as a
that
pathologist. That is
real
really
knowledge
stressful.
and become
Or you want to
smarter
do
and
something and
knowledgeable.
you then end up as a
But
dermatologist,
the people
which you don't
around us
like,
usually are
or
some
because you
people
didn't
who
get
get
anything,
coming to us
then you joined as
to
a
renew
psychologist.
policies,
So
and he's
I
very
have seen
nice, he's very friendly, and he
abroad
appears
also
to be
when I
very
went,
trustworthy.
first time I used
And your own
to
chartered
hear about the
accountant.
stress
You think
in
that the
work
chartered
and all these
accountant would
things.
be a very
And it was all
knowledgeable
coming
and
from
wise
places
person
who
about
were
money.
people who were
But it's not
misplaced.
necessarily so. Then
So many general
in a
surgeons went
bank,
from
you have a
India, they
manager
went
or
abroad,
some
they could not
well
get general
person
surgery
who
there,
keeps
so they ended up,
being very
because
nice and
psychiatry at
very
the time
friendly
was
to
an
you
open field.
and keeps telling you
And how do you
that
expect
he
him to
knows
be
what
happy
you
in
can,
his work?
what is the best thing for you.
I mean, if they don't
Recently,
become a
there is a trend of
psychiatric patient
relationship
themselves,
managers
it is
in
a
banks. Yes, yes. And
So
then
if you
there
are
some
in a
people who
job
say
you
I am a
don't like,
financial advisor.
every aspect of
Then
what
your
you do
doctor
is
friends
very
also say I am
stressful.
an expert. I'll tell you,
Isn't
yes,
it?
sir, don't do
There is
this, do
also
that.
one more thing.
Sometimes patients
Stagnation
also
work
keep
is
giving
also very
advice.
stressful.
There are some relatives. So among
So
this large
if you
number
are
of
doing
potential
the
advisors,
same thing,
you don't
monotonous,
know
you go to the outpatient
whom should
clinic,
we listen
just
to
see
and whom
OP from morning to
should we
evening,
trust.
same people
See,
complaining of
one
neck pain,
thing
back
that
pain, neck
we
pain,
must
back
know
pain,
is
back pain,
all
neck
these
pain.
people,
It is so
they,
stressful.
most of these
So that's
investment
why if you are doing
instruments,
the same thing when you are 35 years old,
when
what you
somebody
did when you are 30,
influences another
and again
person
you are
to
doing the same thing when
buy
you are 40 years old,
uh,
45 years old,
mutual
and 50
fund or
years old,
some
that
thing,
is so
there is
fatiguing
a
because you
commission
have not
that
progressed in
can be
work.
earned by that person.
So
And
you
although
have
that
to
commission doesn't
continuously
immediately
do
affect
something,
what
you
you
have
are
to train
investing,
in something new, you
it
have
is
to
an
do some research,
incentive
you have to
for
do some
that
teaching,
person
you have to do
to
some
give you
conferences,
advice,
you have to do
to
something
invest in
continuously,
something
keep
that
on doing.
leads
That's
to
why
more
when Steve
commission.
Jobs said, when was
And
the last time you did
those
something
investments
for the first time?
need not necessarily be the best investment.
Isn't it?
So
So which
there
means
might be
that you
some
can't be
funds
doing the
or some
same thing day
investment
in and
things
day out.
where
That means you
you
are
don't
just
give
burning
lot
out.
of commission to
There is
doctors
also
or
something called
advisors or
in the
agents.
industry
And the agent should become
reinvention
close
of
to doctors and
yourself.
say, this is the best thing, it's my investment.
So every 5
But
years,
that may not
individuals
necessarily
and
be the best
institutions
investment.
must
There may be other
reinvent
investments
themselves.
available which do not fetch commission to that advisor.
So if you are a surgeon, then you have to reinvent yourself as if you're a arthroplasty, then you're getting very good in revision arthroplasty, and then you get very good after 5 years in something else, and then after 5 years you become a researcher to find out what is the best way to prevent PJI. You have to do something new every day, and then every day you do work is interesting. People also ask me, how are you able to manage? Everybody knows that doing a back pain clinic is the worst thing that you can do. And people make fun of it when you're abroad. Back pain clinics are supposed to be the most boring clinics. But the way we did it is that we started doing a lot of research in low back pain. And then when you're doing it, there are so many interesting questions in your mind all the time. So every patient is looking new. Every MRI is more interesting. Every one of their symptoms are quite good. So if you're a doctor and you just stay in the same position, stagnant in life, that is very stressful. So every few years you need to reinvent yourself and reorient yourself and keep changing, keep rolling, and then life becomes interesting. Because as they say, the destination is not important, the journey is very important. So if you are not doing a journey and if you are sitting on the same stone for years together, how is it going to be?
And what do I do with the money that I have saved? And
rightly said, and I think one has to also practice to overcome stress. But there's a general feeling that to have a good life in terms of finance or equipping your house, providing good education to the children, or going out for a holiday now and then, one needs to have a good amount of work, which in turn pays you back. But for everything there is a price. The man who does the work will himself not be able to enjoy all the pleasure, or the family will be missing him the most needed time when they want it. Now, what is this life if it cannot give complete happiness or joy? Is there a way one can balance both work and life, and what kind of adjustment or sacrifices that one needs to do?
They are not allowed.
So, Raja, when I'm talking about all these things, usually when I give a talk in the tea time, a lot of people come and ask me, sir, you're always talking about work, that this, what about money?
Whatever is there.
So, are you not talking about money because you have so much money or you have been so successful? In fact, a lot of people come and ask me that directly. You're lucky, sir, you made a lot of money. So, is that why you are not talking about money?
These are people, at least.
So I would like to tell this. Thank you for asking this question because I wanted to tell. Nobody knows the value of money as I do. Because my commitments are so much. When people come and say, I have commitments, I think, thank God he doesn't know what is my commitment monitor. So I know the value of every single.
They are getting commissions.
But what I mean to say is, money has lots of things because it gives you a certain amount of peace of mind when you know that you have a reserve. And COVID taught all of this very importantly. How important it is to have a reserve. No, it taught us at the hospital quite a lot of what is meant to have a reserve and how important it is. Money also, I think, is very important because it buys you time. And this I have found in my life because you have an aspiration, you have an ambition, you want to do a research, it may be anything. But if you don't have money, the road to get what you want is quite far, quite long, and you may lose a lot. But if you have money, then sometimes all the good things in life that you need, you can get it quickly. But what I mean to say is that you should not have money as a single purpose of life. If you look at everything you do in terms of money, invariably you will make wrong decisions.
As early as possible,
and then you will not be successful. And if you are not successful, you are not going to have.
And also the second advice.
Now, if you leave money away from your decisions, in all the decisions,
have an advisor,
then you will do the right thing in life. And when you do the right thing in life,
like relationship
then
managers
you
and
will be
CAs.
successful.
So,
and which successful person has not been very rich?
Aspect we are talking about,
isn't it?
Can you
so Sachin Tendulkar is one of the most richest cricketers. Do you think it's because he thought of money when he trained?
For example, stating
No.
whether
Dhoni, do you think he thought of money in cricket? No. But they all thought only of cricket. And so when you are very, very successful, then you are
and then in the next slot of his practice, that is in his early 40s,
you have to just concentrate on your profession and be very successful.
So what should be his
and
goals
automatically all the things that you wanted, you will have.
What should be his goals, financial goals?
But if you forget your profession and just think of all the other things that you want, you will be professionally not successful. And all the time you are chasing and feeling that you don't have all these things. So that is the reason I say, okay, we all need everything in life. As you said, we need insurance, we need a reserve, we need a good, decent livelihood, and some extravaganza we need from time to time, a good holiday, opulence sometimes, which keeps us going. But all that is pittance when you are very successful in your profession.
Taking it on.
Go to think of the profession, be successful in your profession, you will have everything else automatically made for you.
These are mechanisms we
you forget the profession and go behind all these things, then you are not successful in your profession, then all the time you are struggling to get all these things. And that is the one reason I say professional excellence is a ready-made answer for you for most of the wants of your life.
Banks to give you a loan.
Single point agenda.
Don't get into this higher purchase.
Can you tell me anybody who is professionally highly successful who is not rich? But their richness came as a byproduct of their professional excellence, not that they went behind the richness.
I can tell you that
that was well said, sir. Professional excellence will automatically bring financial wealth and other requirements of our life. So a lot of young orthopedic surgeons are watching. So what is your advice for them regarding your perfect work-life balance?
Give you a much lesser
young postgraduates and maybe students as well.
I just want to put everything into the same perspective. So if you're a young orthopedic surgeon, then you look up to somebody. You must have good mentors in your life. That's very important. So, there is a quotation in English that says, an apple never falls far from its tree.
In all my career,
and then we always use it to say that children are almost the same as their parents. People from good families are always not good families. Not good. But I would actually also extend it to saying a person who has been a mentee to a very good mentor, you will rarely find them not being a good mentor. And that's why if you're a young surgeon, if you're a student aspiring to do well, please choose. It's not only important what books you read, but it's so important to know under whom you are training. Now, Raja, Dhanshekar, all of you will know that under whom you train is very, very important. And that actually puts your professional ethics and your discipline into stone, written in stone, and then you become very, very good. So I would just tell you, when I was training under Professor TK's, there was just a small conversation with him. I had finished my MS at that time, and there was a dinner. And there was a talk about getting, what is this called, inference pay or something. If you write an MRI, interpretation charges about that. So Professor TK said, if you want to have blood in your hands, then you must accept interpretation charges. Accepting interpretation charge on the side from a person who has come to you with pain and suffering is like having his blood in your hands. You know, it just went so much strong into my mind at that period of time. And as Dhanshekar would know it, I mean, even when we didn't have MRI, we didn't have CT, when we were referring about 25 MRIs, CTs every day. I mean, it was just so far, you know, that one single word that he told me when we were having dinner was said to put you into a right path, which actually sent it. So I would say, tell all the junior, apart from thinking what specialty, what book to read, what this thing to do, just always think spending 2 or 3 years at your very formative period of time under a good person is one of the most important things that will make you a good doctor. So choose a good mentor. That's very important. Second thing is, make sure that you have a good company. You know, when they say what is important is not the destination, but it is the journey. So what is the journey? A journey is made always more worthwhile by the company that you keep, isn't it? It is so important because you are always the sum average of the 5 persons whom you spend most of your time with. I can give it a guaranteed writing. You spend yourself most of your time with the top persons in your class, you will be one of the top persons in the class. You spend all the time amongst the top 5 professionals in your profession. Even if you are below, you will rise up very fast to be with them. You spend all your time with the bottom 5 in your profession, you will be somewhere in the bottom line in the profession. So you need to be making sure that you are in the best company. Choose the best company and you will automatically be with them. If you are in a group who is always berating work, who's belittling work, who says hard work kills people, that profession is bad, patients are bad, everything is bad, then you will also be exasperated and wasted and fatigued in your mind. You need to be with people who are talking about working hard, doing good things for the people. Patients are good. You be good to patient, patients will be good to you. Now, you know, something that really saddened me and always saddens me is when, you know, we all have professional groups. And so many times there are stories about why patient is shouting at the doctor or beating the doctor or something like that. But Raja, you have practiced for so many years. How many times a patient has slapped you? Never. I mean, but I'll ask you another question. How many times patients have told that you are God? I'm sure hundreds and hundreds of times. In Ganga Hospital, we are treating about 25,000 patients with major surgeries. Which doctor has been abused by which patient? No. And countless number of times we have been praised by patients and this. So people put wrong things on the media, wrong things on the social media, which changes the outlook of many young surgeons. I feel really sad. And sometimes I even write to the people who write this saying, what you're doing, you're spoiling the outlook of young surgeons towards patients. That is not correct. So it is very important when you're young that you will spend time with the best of the company. It is very, very important. Third thing is, please do not belittle work, because hard work is the one that will give you everything in your life. If you have a misconception of it and you lose the capacity for hard work, I'm sorry that you will never be in the top rung. So you need to be rightly in the correct place, and you need to be with the right people, doing the right things, and also look at what is real success. There is a concept which says that if you work hard, your family will not be happy with you. I really think the other way around. Please ask your wife or your children, do you want somebody who is spending time with you in the evenings more, or do you want somebody who is successful and who is being socially up? I am 100% every family, every wife, every child wants a very successful and a very good father, rather than a failure father or who is somebody coming early to home and sitting and watching cricket or the serials on the TV. So even your family, your father and mother, your brother and sister, your friends, your children will always like and respect somebody who is very successful, who is very well known for their hard work, their ethics and honesty in life. So this whole thing of work-life balance is, you should not think that you're balancing between something which is very good, which is called life, and something which is very bad, which is called work. Very early in life, you need to learn the most important thing, that you have to integrate work and life together. I'm not saying that you should not spend time with the family. Family is also very important, but you have to be off balance by design most of the time. When you're a school person, you enjoy your school life. But if you're taking your 10th exam, then you have to be studying very well hard for that 8 or 9 months and get the best marks, because otherwise you won't get the +2. Enjoy your life when you're in +2, but the last 8 months you have to sit down and study hard, otherwise you will never be a doctor. So when you're a doctor, you have to enjoy your life at times, but when you have to go for training, at that period of time, you have to really, really work hard. So you need to know when to be off balance and when to be in balance. You have to be off balance towards family, enjoyment, life, relaxation sometime, and be off balance towards hard work, training, and critically doing everything is very important. So all these you need to be off balance. So I really wish every one of you, all the young surgeons, all the very best in life. Be sure that you have good mentors. Be sure you are with the right people doing the right thing. Then automatically you don't need to worry about anything. Everything will be yours.
Excellent. Absolute pearls of wisdom for the last 1 hour. I think we had a fantastic and very useful time for the last 1 hour, listening to so many important things like, work, profession, unhappy, happy workers, stress, family, how to balance work and life. I think your personal experience themselves are a big lesson for everyone to take. And in my opinion, you're a living example of work and balance. And that's my personal feeling. And I'm sure that others also will agree to that. And we are so thankful for having had this wonderful discussion today, and from a person like you.
Thank you, Raja. Thank you very much.
Over to Rajasekaran for the closing remarks. But before that, Anna, now we are coming to the end of our session. But before we wind up, there is some part of a history which we need to remember and cherish, the Bone and Joint Day. Now it has become a national movement, of course, but you were the architect of this awareness initiative. And how was this conceptualized? Now it has become very successful, and everybody has taken it as their own movement. But how difficult was it to bring it to reality?
Yeah. So, Raja, when I became the president, I wanted to do something that will leave a legacy. And, that was one of the things was the PAL against road traffic accidents, which is going very good now. But at the time, when we go abroad, there is this Friendship Day, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Son's Day, everything is there. But then we were discussing, and then, there is something called the power of collective effort. Although lots of people are doing everything throughout the year, but if all of us can put down into one thing at the same time, then you need a day for it. And I was thinking that there was no bone and joint day. But the big thing was that not only for us to do, but the government to accept it. There has to be a legitimacy on it. You can declare anything, but how will it get a following unless there is a approval from the government and there's a legitimacy towards that. So we made many efforts for this, and I should thank Rajesh Malhotra, because at that time I had no connection to the cabinet at that time. Rajesh Malhotra, being in the All India Institute, he led me on to Kapil Sibal, then the minister, and also to the Union Health Minister. And we put up many proposals, and fortunately it was agreed. And there was a very big press meet for this, and we had a big function when the Union Cabinet Minister was there, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was also there. And that was very well covered. And then we also realized that all this is not going to sustain unless there is a lot of good activity behind it. And that is how I initiated the giving back to the society, and this movement of free surgeries, that thing. So, in fact, I was promoting one free surgery by every surgeon at that time. And there was a lot of surgeries, and I should also thank you and congratulate you, because you spearheaded a movement where there were a maximum number of free surgeries, which went into the record. And we also made another good decision in the IOA at that time, that this will not be just a bone and joint day, but we should, although this will be the bone and joint day, but it will be celebrated over the bone and joint week. So, all these made a big thing. The third important thing that we actually did was that all the activities of the bone and joint week will be given credential when we come for the Mehta Gold Medal for the best state chapter. It all just one by one. So it became this thing, and it is just, that is always called the tip-off point. You need to push things up to one level, but after that it gains momentum by itself. And now people are vying with each other. There is competition all around. Every state, every city chapter is competing with the other to do the maximum amount of the bone and joint day. This was, if you ask me, did I imagine that it will become such a big thing? I should be honest enough to say no. But there is also something called the power of good thinking, because it's a selfless thought. If it's a good move, then it gets powered by itself. And it got powered by lots of people like you. I mean, you set a standard, and then people then want to break the standard and go beyond the ceiling. So I should thank, as I started off, thanks to all the successive presidents, successive secretaries, and people like you who have done a lot for bone and joint day.
Thank you. And for the sake of record, I should say that for the world record, we had more than 911 surgeons and more than 1,346 surgeries, worth about rupees 10 crores and more. So kudos to you, and congratulations and best wishes to each and every orthopedic surgeon on this bone and joint day. Over to you, Dhansika.
Sir, there are a few questions in the chat box. Can we look at them?
Sure.
So there is a question from Dr. Bipul Borthakur from Assam. He's asking whether self-esteem is more important or the company is important, because Kavi Guru Ravindranath said you should forward even if there is no company.
Yeah. So, should you go solo even if there is no company? I think it's what he's asking. I think going forward is very important, with or without company. But having a good company is very important, because it makes the journey more worthwhile and more enjoyable. And there is only a certain amount that you can achieve as a solo dancer. I also talk about this proverb very often. If you want to walk fast for a short while, then you walk alone. But if you want to walk far and sustaining a lot and covering a lot of ground, then you walk together. So, we can take the example of Thakkar Hospital. Now being an individual, however good you are, however energetic you are, however clever you are, however strong you are, there is only a certain amount that you can do. But when we became an institution, the reach and the effectiveness of Ganga Hospital is far beyond any one of us. So we are all always better than, all together is better than any one of us. And that is why I am saying that develop a good company. But if you don't have a company, you should still go forward. Going forward is no option. It's a compulsion. But if you have good company with you, it is enjoyable, it's more productive. Also, you travel farther.
Thank you, sir. That brings to a conclusion of our session. To summarize, we were discussing about work, looking at work as a profession, not just a work. And for family, we need to have a common shared dream. And for being a good parent, one should not talk low about your work. And your work should be progressive, and you need to reinvent yourself so that you don't get stressed. And for students, be a good mentee and keep good company so that you can progress well. And there is no perfect balance. Always we need to err on some side. So this is the summary of the today's discussion. And it applies to most of us in every walk of life, in every profession. Thank you very much for your excellent deliberations, sir. Over to Saravanan, Secretary of TNOA.
Thank you,
Dr. Ravi for joining us today.
On behalf of TNOA, its executive committee, and all our distinguished members, I wholeheartedly thank our past president, Dr. Rajasekaran, for the excellent session, and also the moderators, Dr. Raja Ravi Verma and Dr. Dhansekar Raja. The whole thing is recorded, and we will share to all the members, and even IMA members also joined in this program. So they also felt very happy. And once again, I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Raja.
Thank you very much for this excellent quality time with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.